Good morning and welcome to the S-Files. Today we'll be covering the very mysterious death of Elisa Lam. I'm Logan Espinosa and here.
And I'm Agustina Cirugo.
Would you mind telling us a bit about the basics of the case?
So, 21-year-old Elisa Lam travels from Canada to Los Angeles, California on just a soul-searching journey where she's on vacation. She's visiting all the popular tourist sites when she meets an untimely death. Much about her death is unknown except for the basic facts that, she was found in a water container that led for the entire hotel. But apart from that, not much is known, solely because at the time there wasn't as much information being given out and DNA testing wasn't as known or popular.
But even then, I will get into this later, but there was no foul play involved, so there was no DNA to really be tested.
Exactly, no speculation, you couldn't even prove that there was foul play involved, go inside her hotel room because the police weren't even legally allowed to, so...
Yeah. So on February 19th, they found her body in the water tank on the rooftops of the Cecil Hotel. After, get this, guests were complaining that one, there was low water pressure in their tap, and two, the water was coming out black and foul tasting. So they were tasting Elisa Lam in their water and just chalked it up to some Los Angeles quality.
I mean, not much can be expected from Los Angeles County water.
It's a bit odd.
But regardless, it was completely up to the residents or just the tourists staying in the hotel that kind of discovered that Elisa could possibly in the water tank.
Yeah.
Solely because of the issues that they were finding. But it's insane that that is how they found something, not with the dogs tracking her scent. It's kind of gross.
So if we backtrack a bit, we see that upon entering the hotel and checking in, she was administered into a hostel room, which is a shared room, but her roommate complained that she had some odd behavior. And actually, if we look at the last bits of footage that we have of her, she was in an elevator, and she was acting a bit strange, very strange. There's a long list of things that she did in the hotel and in the elevator. It took about, I think, 2.5 minutes for the whole thing to play out. So she walked into the elevator very, very fast. She seemed like she was in a bit of a rush. And as soon as she entered, she pressed all the buttons in the elevator.
Yeah, definitely signs that something was kind of bothering her, or just she was a little confused in a sense.
Yeah.
Just going out of her way to touch every single button, and she looked very frantic.
Potentially. But as soon as she stops pressing all the buttons, the elevator shutters. It starts to close and then it opens again. And then you kind of see the fear getting into her. She hides in the corner of the elevator. She jumps out of the elevator, darting her eyes both sides, enters, re-enters, exits, comes back in, presses all the buttons again and again and again, goes back out, starts waving her hands around like a weirdo, and then it's like she grabs something and starts bending it. I have no idea what was happening in that video.
Yeah, something was definitely bothering her. Even prior to this, again, odd behavior didn't just start there. She was in a hostel, sharing a room, and she would write notes for her roommates being get out, stay away, and stuff like that, which was obviously very intimidating for her roommates. So it's the frantic and odd behavior didn't even just start there. This was days or hours leading up to it.
Yeah. Some people think that she was under the influence of some potential hallucinogenics or alcohol, but the autopsy reports noted that there was no crazy drugs that could have potentially led to any strange behavior. So that was out of the way. But she also was taking some medications for bipolar disorder, which some people blame her behavior on the disorder, which is a bit erratic, you know.
Yeah, because, despite the fact that she was acting so irrationally, pressing every button, kind of being disruptive, you can't really blame it on the medication if she's had a history of taking it, at least from my perspective.
Yeah.
So, maybe the hallucinogenics makes more sense. But either way, I don't think that had any role in it.
And also from experience, bipolar disorder does not make you
Press a lot of
press a
buttons.
bunch of buttons.
I
That's a
don't
bit
think-
odd.
That's not a symptom.
Some others think that she was murdered, and again, I noted earlier that there was no foul play involved. So, how did she drown in the Cecil Hotel water tank?
Well, honestly, nobody knows. Like, that's the whole issue, that nobody knows how she got there, how she would have scaled the rooftop. But it's more so like the issue of like, if she was so erratic, like, would she have gone that far and like, maybe attempted suicide? And why does your brain lead you to think I'm gonna go
Yeah.
drown in the water tank? But it's just, I feel like there's so many odd like factors in this like case that you kind of just, you can't cut anything off at this point, because she was disruptive, she had such odd behaviors, and she did have a history of like mental disorders. Like,
Yeah.
you can't really cut anything off, but there's also no video evidence that someone could have potentially been following her or murdered her.
And that's where things start to get interesting, is considering if someone helped her get into the water tank or she did it on her own. Because the process getting into that water tank is ridiculous. She would have either had to walked out of a window and entered one of the fire escape ladders, entered one of the fire escape doors, which would have set an alarm, which there was no alarm, climbed an 8-foot tall water tank, opened a 20-pound hatch, entered the very small hole, closed the hatch from inside, and got naked inside the tank.
Oh yeah.
Like that, how is she supposed to? I think the craziest part is closing the 20-pound hatch inside.
And also like, just like the fact that she could have done this all alone, like, and also nobody heard anything, nobody saw anything. If there were alarms, how were they not sounded? Like, things like that. And also, it's just like, if she did climb onto the balcony and to try to get on a fire escape, like, who didn't see her? Like, is there no cameras here?
I feel like someone would have seen her.
I know. That's why I'm like, okay, like, she just, there's really no, like, clues.
She teleported.
Yeah, actually, that's exactly it. And so, what's it called? Since there's so many factors, it kind of, like, you have to look around, like, her area and, like, what the background of where she was at. Like, the Cecil Hotel is, like, even, like, as someone who's not, like, the hugest true crime, like, fan, I'm like, okay, like, I know about the Cecil
I've heard
Hotel.
of the Cecil Hotel before. Yeah.
Like, that place is definitely haunted. Like, I can 100% say that, and she's 100% contributing to it. And so the Cecil Hotel, like, there's so many victims of murder, suicide, like, everything in between, that you kind of just, like, begin to associate it with bad things. So it's like, nothing really surprising here. Like, I can't really be shocked that anything happened here.
Yeah, looking into the history of the Cecil Hotel, it's been home to a few murderers, notably Jack Unterweger and Richard Ramirez, which we'll get into a bit. And some people even link it back to the Black Dahlia, which, if we go back, is episode 1's main topic. And it's also been the site of many suicides. And so people who have been there for quite a while have basically dubbed the hotel the Suicide, which is a bit
The suicide.
ridiculous.
And so even Richard Ramirez being, like, considered a clue into how she did what she did, that she was talking to his ghost, is so, like, unimaginable, considering he died after she did. Like,
Yeah, like people were thinking that she was talking to his ghost on the
Yeah.
elevator, which is ridiculous because he died 6 months after.
yeah, he wasn't even dead to be ghosting around,
Yeah.
like, the Cecil Hotel. Maybe she was talking to another
He was
ghost,
there in
though.
spirit.
Exactly. Like, she just knew. She had a premonition that that man was gonna die, and then she had to talk to him at the Cecil Hotel.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a rather simple case because there isn't much to know about it, but it's very outlandish, and nobody really knows what's happened. They've made guesses, but everything's just pointed to it's an accident. She drowned. It was potential suicide, potential murder, potential drug use. Who knows? Nobody knows.
But since the case is so vast, it's such an interesting way. Like, I can put anything on this. Like, I think that's what makes it so interesting. Like, everybody can hypothesize about something just because, like, there's so many factors that went into that, and you can just blame it on so many things.
Yeah.
It's-
And also, it's when I look at the elevator footage, I feel like it was really an accident because the elevator, it was gonna close. It was gonna close. So I don't think she was acting weird. I think she was just in fear that the elevator stayed open, and like 2 minutes or a minute after she left the elevator, it closed on its own, And then it started going to all the floors she tapped.
Yeah, I don't
So-
think there's anything wrong with the elevator.
Yeah.
It's just eerie. Like, I remember watching that video as a kid and being like, what the hell? Like,
was
there
so
was somebody
weird.
in the corner, and that's why she was doing all that. So she was looking around. It's just so many things that you can blame it on that it's just like,
There's no way of telling.
yeah.
But I mean, that's practically it for the case.
Hmm.
That was Elisa Lam for the S-Files episode 2. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Toodles.